Hi there, welcome to the Selectmen meeting. Let's have a motion on the previous minutes.
Move the minutes from the previous meeting.
Second. Probably can't.
Any questions? All in favor? Okay, we're gonna do a public hearing first, and then I'm gonna move some items around on here. So do we need a motion to go into public hearing?
Yeah.
Or do
You
we
need
just
to
go into
open
it?
the public hearing.
Okay, so I'm going to open public hearing on the proposed miscellaneous ordinance change regarding elections. So is there anybody in the public that'd like to talk regarding the proposed change?
You may want to say what the change is.
You might describe the change.
I had you guys in stereo.
Stereo.
Okay, what we're looking to do, it has been proposed to strike the existing miscellaneous ordinance entitled Elected Official Recall and Appointment Ordinance, because the verbiage is contained in 30-A MRSA, and replace it with one entitled Elections, with a subsection dealing with write-in candidates for municipal elections. So what we're trying to do is get an ordinance that shows or tells how many write-ins someone needs to be a write-in, is what it is. And I think you could have anything before, and we are proposing 15 signatures, is what it is. So giving you guys that information, now is there any comments from the public?
Well, you're actually putting in 15 votes, not signatures.
I've been corrected, 15 votes. You have to have 15 votes. It's a good body there. Okay, so nothing from the public. We're gonna close the public hearing. Any comments from board members?
You already closed public hearing.
Huh? I can't close it?
You can't close it until you have comments from everybody.
So we even have to be in the public, but, okay.
Mhm.
So no one has comments up here?
Right, now you can close public hearing.
I just did. Now I'm gonna close the public hearing again.
Good job.
I did it.
You did great.
Okay, so now we go for the motion.
You don't
You
need a
don't
motion
need, no,
for
this
that.
has to go.
You voted on it the last meeting to
Right.
put it back out to public hearing, and from there, it will go on to the warrant.
Okay,
Town meeting.
For town
Okay.
meeting.
all right, good.
And you'll approve the warrant article in April.
Okay, great. Good, check it off then. That was hard. All right, we are going to jump ahead, and we're going to do Gore Road, private road section, because we've got some people there for that tonight, so we're not holding you guys up. And that would be me. There is a section on Gore Road that is, I guess, classified as private, but to go up Gore Road, it's public. It hits a section that's private, and then it goes public again. This road is like no other private road that we have. It is, it's used very heavily. We have fire trucks on our department that utilize this area, and honestly, I think they could lose a tire in some of those potholes in that section. It's really bad. I know this is an elephant that's been in the room for 25 years, and you know, everybody that I talk to either has their versions, has their history of it. I guess what I'm looking to do is move this forward from here on and kind of take away from the past of it. I've talked to Nathan, and he's going to give us some updates here, but I think we need to fix it. I think, however, we need to do that. So if we can at least open the doors to communications here to get talking on that area. Gray has taken on their area of it, because there is a small section of it, I think like
660 feet, right?
Okay. They've taken it by eminent domain, right? And they're fixing it.
That is correct.
Okay, so that leaves us with 1,700 feet.
1130.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at the whole one, thank you. There isn't any other, and I know I mentioned to you, Rolf, when you and I were talking a little bit about this, you had mentioned Brown Road. Brown Road actually is now owned by Raymond as far as a public road now. That isn't private anymore, and I didn't know that either. So I'm gonna have Nathan give his 2 cents.
This road, as Teresa said, we come off of Town Road, Gore Road at Dollymont, and it goes by legal statute as a private way from there to 600 feet short of the Gray Town line, or 600 feet short of the Gray Town Road in Gray. Not sure how this all happened. It's been a private road forever. Under Gray's, well, I do know what happened. Gray put a development in just past the town line, and under Gray's bylaws, it's a council instead of selectman board. When the planning board approves a subdivision, the contractor builds the road to a standard, the town automatically accepts it. So there's a section of Gore Road from just past the town line to just past Deer Acres that's town maintained by the town of Gray. That leaves that section from the town line to Dollymont private. By rights or by any logical sense, this should be town maintained. The hard part here is the lion's share of the traffic is coming out of Gray. I think there's 7 or 8 houses on that section from Dollymont to where Gray picks up. There's a couple of avenues we could go. There's a lot of legal statutes there. I think we should talk to Gray, talk to the residents that live on that section of road, see if they can come together for the financial end of it. And I think we should go in there and fix it and make it happen. It's a very unique road. We don't have any other road in town that does this or lays out like this. I realize this is kind of unorthodox to come forward and ask to take over a private road, but I spent 25 years of people coming and not understanding, and I get it. Go ahead.
Do you have any information at this point, Nathan, on the finances?
If we did it, if we went in and did it, we're looking at it right around about $70,000. That's to do ditching, tree removal, base and surface paving to the level that we do on the town roads that we do here. The section that Gray's doing, the 660, I call it 660, it's 150,000 just to bring it to base surface. They did a 22-foot wide, 20-inch box cut, and they put 20 inches of material back in. They're going to ditch it, put culverts in. There's a little bit more work on that end. So you're basically looking, if we contracted it out, somewhere in the $300,000 range to do it on our side.
We're still looking at 70?
We're looking at about 70. I think it'll come in less. I overestimated everything. I put 10 grand in for tree work. I don't believe we'll even come close to that. I put 120 hours of ditching in there. Realistically, a week and a half we'll be out of there. And I put $65 a ton on paving, not knowing when we're going to do it. We're at 52 right now. So there's some fluff in there, and I put in for 6 inches of gravel over the whole length of the road, without even doing a core sample or a bore or anything. So I'm shooting a guess at that. So I estimated it pretty high.
Yeah, that seems like a no-brainer, really.
Well, I think we should research and talk to Gray. I mean, like I said, the
Yeah.
biggest portion of the volume of traffic is coming out of Gray, whether it be the town of Gray or the association down there. Talk to them, see if they'll come meet us part way. Maybe the residents that live on that section.
Isn't there a history of them wanting to, and then bringing
There's
history and say not to?
a lot of history there. I've heard a lot of different stories.
That's why I
I've
went
been
to-
involved in a couple of the arguments back and forth. I don't have enough evidence to say yes or no or how that all played out, to be honest with you.
Okay, Dawn.
Do we know that all the Raymond residents along that stretch want this to happen, and or are we going to pay damages to condemn the road and take it by eminent domain?
I would stick my neck out and say most of the people on the Raven section probably would not have any objections to this. That's my guess, and I would not entertain paying damages. I mean, we're coming in and fixing their road, making their travel better. I think that should be paid back.
So let's say in the past, I don't know if it's true now, but I have talked to people who don't want it to happen, so then you're going to deal with that
Well, then,
issue.
yeah, then you're going to deal with that issue, correct.
Sure.
Is there an association there?
Not on that section. There's an association down in Gray that takes care of the private stuff on the Gray side.
So no one maintains that dirt road right now?
It's,
They just
well,
want
it's
it-
basically pavement, but with big chunks of pavement missing.
So,
Gray's plowing it right now. They go through because they have to get through there.
and they hit tar and push it to the
Correct.
side
That
and
is correct.
makes it
Yeah.
worse.
Makes it
does.
worse, that is correct.
So, here's my question though. What other private road's gonna come in and say, we get a lot of traffic?
A whole bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch out
And
there.
so if you're gonna
And-
fix that private road, why aren't you gonna fix the other one?
Well, I think the argument there is the fact that this road goes into another town and we don't have another one that does that. Other than that, no, I don't have a good argument for it, other
This is
than,
also public, private, public.
correct, that's
too.
it, going from a town maintained into another town, and you got a section of private. And I don't know as though we've got any other private roads in town that actually handle that volume of road, that volume of traffic
But
coming
that
out of
volume
Gray.
of traffic is mostly gray traffic.
Correct, that is correct.
Somehow there should have been, coordination, because we're going back 25, 30 years.
Right.
Before that area got developed, it should have been a prerequisite of the developers that the road be brought up to standard.
I think in their defense, I mean, you're going back.
I know.
That was in the late 70s, I think, it was put together down through there. And I don't think the foresight was there.
Right.
I don't think you had the volume of traffic at that point there.
But normally that's what happens.
Correct, yes,
Normally
yeah.
how
That's
it
how we
goes.
ended up with Brown Road. Developer went in and did Ball Drive.
Right,
right.
Chris Ball.
Yeah.
And part of the agreement was bring Brown Road up to a standard and then
Right.
we'd
And
accept
then he
it.
defaulted, if I remember.
Correct, yes, yeah,
Well-
yes.
Right, and then we got
correct.
stuck with that one.
Yeah, we got stuck with the surface
So,
of
you know,
Ball Drive.
So how often are we gonna go in there?
To
to
Gore
fix
Road?
it? Yeah, I mean, you're gonna leave
Um,
it, you're gonna leave it a gravel piece, right? You're not gonna tar it.
On Gore Road or Brown Road?
Yeah.
Brown
No,
Road's all
Gore-
paved.
Right.
Oh, Gore Road.
Correct.
I wouldn't take it unless we're gonna fix it. Right now, it's
So
a
are you
it's a
gonna pave
mess.
it?
You're gonna have to fix it, yeah.
Pave it.
Yes. Go in, ditch it, pave it, that's 70 grand. Most of that's in asphalt.
And myself living on a private road, what are you doing mine?
See, and you're
Yours
one of
is a
those,
dead
you're
end.
one of those roads that I would say should be a town road, whether it be gravel or paved, it
I
should be a town road.
totally agree.
That road was, and I unfortunately truly believe that if the planning board is gonna require builders to build these roads to a standard, it's costing everybody a lot of money, the town should take them over, whether gravel or paved or however that works. And if the road's built correctly, a gravel road isn't that bad to maintain. It really isn't.
Well, since that new development went in on Abbey Road,
Yes, I
it's
noticed that where.
totally washed out.
Yep.
Because they didn't culvert it and ditch it right.
Correct.
So that expense falls on the association to fix that road.
Correct.
Because it's a private road.
And I think that when they put Abbey Lane in, they should have required, at least going to that point, that should have been all town maintained right to there, and they should have brought that right up to paved right on the way out, or whatever it may be, but I think that's, there's a.
That
there's-
was my argument when that development was going in,
Yep,
Well,
so.
I want it really clear that nobody on Gore Road came to me. This was mine.
I've,
Mr.
ahead.
King over here had the very, very unfortunate of having 2 trees come down, one on his camper and one right across the road. And when we went up there, it was literally like, oh my God, this road is so bad. I mean, the ditches, and I'm also thinking, we have this nice new fire equipment that's gonna be hitting those things, and it's gonna be sending it out of alignment, and it's got the ambulance, and it's cost no matter what. And I know this has been an issue for a really long time that I want to get cleaned up, to be honest.
And how many other private roads around Raymond have that same issue?
on the top of my head, I'm gonna say there's probably 5 of them that I would stand up and say this should be a town road, because
Yeah.
1, they've got active and working associations that have taken care of the roads. 2, they're built to a much better standards. The road I lived on, grew up on, no way, it's a goat path. But it's privately maintained and taken care of, but it is a goat path. It goes to a dead end,
You mean Sloan's Cove?
correct. There's a lot of those we've got 200 and change in camp roads in this town, or private ways in this
Right.
town, that go to nothing. And essentially, Gore Road, still, with that, it dead ends down there to the lake. That's why I think that we really should pursue talking to the association or talking to the town of Gray. I'm not comfortable standing up here and saying the town of Raymond should bear that whole $70,000 cost. If it was going into another part of Raymond, that'd be a different light. And I think to stand up and say, this is why we were doing this, it's in the middle of 2 town ways, there isn't another road that meets that, Whether that argument will hold up with everybody else, I don't know. And that's why we're here tonight, to find out what you
Open
guys
it.
think.
That was my apprehension about the whole subject as well when I first started to read about it. And thanks, Joe, for asking the question, because once you do it for one, it's really hard to do it for, not to do it for all. You know, it's
Right.
kind of like a case law kind of situation.
I'd like to think that you could stand the ground and say, this is why we did it. Now, whether or not you can, I don't know. That's
And
a,
I can understand that, but I would think that we would want to definitely sit with Gray and try and work it out. For one, more of the traffic, if not all of it, will be for use of Gray residents.
Correct.
I mean, that's viable. That's, to your words earlier, just makes sense. It's a
Yeah.
common sense way of thinking. And you know, that should be the first push. And I understand the town adopting certain roads, and it just totally makes sense. But I think we want to do everything in our power to have them buy into more of it than we are.
How much would it cost?
And we also have maintenance too, over and above. It's year after year. You
well,
put
yeah,
70
you're
into
gonna-
it this year, it's going to be another 30 next year or the year
No.
after, and just in over
If you
10
do-
years, you're going to spend
if
maybe.
you do it right in 10 years, we're not gonna touch that road. I'm not gonna plow it. Gray's gonna plow it. There's no reason for us to plow it. We've got several spots where Gray overlaps into Raymond, or Raymond overlaps into Gray. That's a common practice with us, with Gray and Naple.
You feel good about
Arcasco.
them plowing it as
absolutely.
well?
They've
Yeah,
been
we-
plowing
yeah.
it for years.
They plowed it for years.
Yeah.
They're
Right,
gonna-
but now we'll own it and we're going to tar it and put money
Correct.
into it, and we want to make sure that what they use down there is not going to.
Yeah, that's not an issue. So the only cost that we're gonna incur over it's our normal maintenance stuff, and if it's done right, you're not gonna touch that road for another 10 or 15 years on paving.
What if you were to just gravel the whole road?
You'd have to tear the asphalt up and grind it, and then put it
Right.
back to dirt. There's too much traffic down there for that. That would be you'd be down there every other week grading it.
No,
Every
but
2
you
weeks.
say, I bring it up to this standard, and now it's your responsibility to maintain it. I
Oh.
mean, the homeowners down there, if they're not caring enough to take care of that part of the road, why is the town doing it for them?
Well, that's a point too. That's a very valid
You know,
point.
I'm just saying,
No, I
you
understand that.
tear it up, you bring it up, you gravel it, and somebody maintains it.
Yep.
You know,
You
you
give 'em a
form an
road and-
association.
That makes the most sense.
I mean,
really.
you form an association,
Yeah.
you bring in someone to grade it once a year or every 2 years.
Yep.
That cost is about $1,500.
Oh, yeah. The annual maintenance on the dirt road for the private sectors
Yeah.
is quite a bit. I mean, we're not even close to that on with our equipment, but if you had to sub it out every year, yes, it is quite a bit.
And I mean, the other thing is, that part of the private road is not paying for snow plowing, like all the other private road associations do.
Correct,
Because
yes,
it's a
they-
throughway.
Correct. That is correct.
you
That
know,
is very
and
correct.
Gray is going by and doing it
Correct.
at no charge.
Correct.
Even if you grade it, you say it would cost the typical $1,500, and we're not even close to that. Well, we'll
Yeah.
tell them we'll grade it each year for $750, or you know, it
If-
brings in a little income for you in your department, but on the
Yeah,
same
no,
token,
no,
it takes
no,
You
care of
don't
yeah.
want Public Works to start grading private roads.
That's true.
If that's
That's
going
true.
to stay.
Not when you have 200 miles.
Say
of
no more.
private
So
roads.
true.
Yeah,
So true.
Yeah, if you're going to leave it the legal status as a private way, no, I wouldn't be interested in that.
Yep.
We'd be doing his road every day, and the
I mean,
Hancock Road and all of that.
Yeah,
No, it's
because
very
Hancock people come up our way because our road's better.
Right.
You know,
Yes, it
so
is.
we
Yep.
get a lot of that traffic passing through.
Yep.
And,
It's true.
and now we got all the hunters down there all, you know.
I see that the other
it's
day when I was down there.
that time of
yeah.
year. Yeah. There's a nice 10-point buck on the road too.
Yeah, I heard that.
Have you seen him?
I haven't seen him, but I've heard that.
He's there. I saw him the other night. So,
All right, back to conversation. All right, here's what I think I'm looking to do is this, open the communication to say, okay, are you guys willing to say, have Dawn talk to Gray and see what Gray may want to do and start the communications, but also doing that and seeing what the residents in that area are willing to do also?
Can you open it to public comment?
yeah, that will be.
Go
Oh,
there,
sure.
introduce yourself.
Okay, I was waiting.
Yes,
for you
go
to
ahead.
open it.
Because these are two that live in that area, is what it is. But I think the communication and opening it and pulling everybody in and
Well,
Yeah, I think there's one thing of opening conversation, but I think you gotta figure out what you're looking for
Yeah.
your end game. Because
Right.
there's a number of issues. Number one, if you have somebody on the private road that doesn't, have we opened up a can of worms there? How are we gonna deal with that? I would say, we don't touch it unless we have 100% buy-in, number one. Number two, we can't make the final decision anyway, because you're then saying you're going to take on a new town road, which is a town meeting vote.
Right.
Number three, you gotta, find out where, who's gonna pay what and when and where. So, I mean, without those three elements, then we're just
Yeah,
having a conversation now.
yeah, at this point, Ralph's correct. We can't do anything
No.
without one public vote on this.
Well, right,
Right,
right.
yeah.
But I think we need to, like, even if step one, like Rolf says, he comes back with 7 signatures that say, yes, we're all interested in moving to the next step. This is baby steps, the way I'm looking at this thing, not just jumping in and taking over. And then what happens is, and then if they're willing to do it, then we turn around and we say, okay, what is Gray willing to do? So it's another piece of the puzzle. And this all, yes, has to go to town vote. I get that, and I agree with that. And then we all kind of, but I want to be able to present to the town for a vote the whole puzzle. Do you know what I mean?
You would have to go to town meeting and then say you're gonna take over that private road. You have to bring it up to town standards. And then whatever our standards are at the time, it can't be a gravel road.
Right.
It has to be a paved road at that
But
point.
If you
bringing
go-
that up to standards, they pay some, Gray pays some, we offer to, these are just options. I'm not locking us in, just so nobody jumps to me on
Bring it
that.
up to a town way, it has to be paved.
Right, okay, so I guess what I'm looking is to, I'm gonna actually quiet, let Bob talk. Go ahead, Bob.
Okay, my name is Bob King. I live on 90 Gore Road. I've been there since 1983. This road is a nightmare. There is no other private road in the town of Raymond that has the traffic count we do. Wintertime, estimated 800 cars a day go up and down that road. Summertime, 12 to 1,500 cars go use that road a day. Tell me what other private road, even yours, Joe, can it compare? They did one time, and I think it was the association that did it, grind the road and put down an inch of hot top on it.
Yeah, that was probably 92, I think.
Yep,
somewhere
just
there, right?
binder. It is gone. There's frost that has heaved rocks up through there. Gray's school bus uses that road. It is very dangerous. Stoney, the guy that used to plow the road, did an excellent job on plowing. Unfortunately, he loved to put sand down. Over the years, you got 2 to 3 feet of sand on the edges of each road on that road. It destroyed it. We, as like 6 people on that road, can't afford to fix that road. It's just too phenomenal. Use some of our tax money, use our federal excise money. I mean, that's what we pay for. Don's getting tired of me coming up to see him all the time, I'm sure, but, we're getting shortchanged.
Right?
Huh?
But I'm consistent.
Yes. Yes, you are. But we really need help, and for public safety factor, for both towns, we need to do something with that road. It's not gonna survive another winter. It is very crumbly, just from them doing their road in Gray now. That road is so broken, so fractured, it just comes right up.
Do you guys have a development going in down past you?
I don't know.
I think they're adding a couple of houses.
Or is that behind us, the development? Because the trucks that have been going up and down Gore Road.
Oh, they're rebuilding that
They're
section.
rebuilding that
600 feet.
section.
So they're going over your section to get to that
They're
section.
destroying it even
Yeah.
more before
The
winter.
trucks are crazy, how many are going.
I
up and
would
down.
also like to ask a weight limit put on that road. Tandem trucks only, no triaxles. Because, and that's protecting your road too. Nathan.
Well, you'd have to do an ordinance change on that, because we don't, we only restrict during posted road season.
Uh-huh.
And that would be an ordinance, that'd be another town meeting issue, be an ordinance change. I don't know, if the road's built correctly, it's not gonna bother.
Well, it's not built, it might have been built correctly 50 years ago, not today. You know, I mean, it's got huge boulders popping up through every year, which is not good. I've never spoke like this before, so please excuse me.
You're
But,
doing fine.
you know, but when you compare that to other private roads, there's none in this town that would even hold a candle to it. And I understand what other people feel like, but this is not good. It's a very much of a safety issue.
Do school buses go down private roads?
No.
Gray does.
Gray does, they go down that one.
That's what I'm saying, is that the
Our
only one?
buses, the only private roads our buses went down were for handicapped kids, and we don't have any right now that I know of.
That's state law. They
That's
have to
state
do
law,
that.
that is correct.
So right now, school buses are going over this area
Yeah,
that's really bad. And-
yeah, they're
okay.
picking the gray kids up and coming.
What happens, what is Raymond's liability if a Gray has an accident on a school bus on that road?
On that section?
Yep.
Nothing,
Nothing.
because it's private road.
Private road, it's.
It becomes a landowner's responsibility, because you live on that private road, and it's up to you to maintain it.
It was never in any of our deeds when we purchased
There are
property
no
down there.
covenants.
No covenants whatsoever.
No.
I mean, so if we are gonna move forward, I would wanna check the registry of deeds to
Oh,
make sure
absolutely.
there's not
Yeah,
some
absolutely.
covenants on that private road. And then, you know,
I think moving forward, maybe, I didn't think of the traffic count, but I could probably get a traffic
that's
count
the
from
other thing, is the
DOT.
traffic count.
And I think, I'll sit down with the association down there in the town of
Yeah.
Gray and see if there's anything going, and like, I think, Ralph, I was coming.
I was helping you.
I think that 100% mark should be an absolute. If you've got one or two people that don't want to do it, I think it should be up to the residents to make that a complete.
I know of
package.
nobody that would oppose that on that road. And you'll have to get CMP involved too, because they own one of the houses now.
Correct, yeah.
CP owns the house.
Yeah, right at the last
Foreclosure?
house, no, they bought it to do a line
Power
expansion.
line or something.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's part of that new
Correct.
transmission. Yeah.
I wanted to, when they put their power line in, have them bring that road up to standard. They're gonna bring a lot of heavy equipment in there.
So,
I think there's a couple of avenues there to go, but
That's-
I agree 100% on you've all mentioned it. What are we gonna do about the other 199 people that are gonna show up that are gonna be very angry because they don't understand this?
her case.
You can't-
No, but
you
I
can't
know,
pick
but
and choose.
I'm not
You-
picking and choosing, but this
You
is.
are.
No, I am, because this is a very unique situation in so many ways. Like I said, and now you just added that cherry on top with the school bus with kids on it.
With Grace school bus.
I know, but it's
Great
still a
kids.
bus with kids on a bad road.
I get that.
So I'm just giving my opinion, but I'd like.
I also brought that up when Gray had their big vote on this section that they redid. I attended their town council meeting, and as a guest, I mentioned that to them, so they know about it.
Okay,
Okay,
cool.
thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Jessica Fay, I live on Spiller Hill Road, and I'm state representative for part of Raymond, part of Pullman, and part of Casco. And I just wanted to let the board know that I have actually heard from residents down there prior to you bringing this up, Teresa. So I'm glad that it's happening. Up until this year, it wasn't required that folks be informed that they're required to maintain a private road if they purchase property on it. So there are folks who I've heard from who bought property down there that didn't know that it was a private road and didn't know that they were technically responsible for maintaining it. So I just thought I'd throw that out there as a little bit of history. Going forward now, as of last week, if you purchase property on a private way, and it's known who's responsible for plowing and maintaining that, that has to be disclosed on the real estate you know, when you do all your little disclosures like lead paint and underground storage tanks and everything. So hopefully going forward, that will help folks understand what they're getting into when they buy on a private way, so that they'll know that they are responsible for X number of dollars, or at least are gonna have to pay for that. So just a little heads up. Hopefully we can fix some of these problems going forward, but it doesn't help the folks that are already there, so.
Okay. So what does the board want to do? Are you guys willing to take baby steps on this to move forward and see what we find out? I guess it's just uncover to see what.
I think
I
Don
think-
should open up a conversation with Ray, number
Okay.
Yeah, I think a traffic count
one.
is needed.
Yeah, by all means.
And, I mean, I don't know that, even during the traffic count, you don't know where those cars are heading. I mean, you don't know if they're going to Gray or whatever.
Well, I think the ones that I will be able to get access to, I know they do a traffic count on Gore Road, and they usually put a strip right at Dollymont in that
Yeah.
area. So you're gonna be able to get a pretty good feed of what's going into Gray. I can vouch for them. We work on Gore Road and Brown Road. You'd be alarmed at the amount of traffic on them roads. It's
But
two of them.
Dolomont is paved up to a certain point. right?
Dollymont's paved about 20 feet in, that's
Yeah,
dirt.
and then it becomes dirt, yeah.
I don't know, excuse me, I'll throw this to Nathan.
You gotta use the mic though, Bob.
Gotta get you back up.
DOT website, traffic count.
No, that's
I haven't got my glasses, I won't be able to.
that's from.
Hold it further away, Nathan.
Yeah, I don't think my arms are that long.
Give it to Sue. She can.
Yeah.
He's trying to figure out, like, read the last line.
Cumberland County deeds.
Register deed, yeah. We'll dig them out. I'll go.
Okay, but
No, I'm gonna pass on that, Sue.
Come on.
You look good in them, don't you?
I know, I don't wanna start anything.
basically
no.
what I think it says is that the association down there has a deeded right of way to use that road, and they will maintain it.
And they will maintain it,
But I've
Maintain what,
heard,
the road?
the road.
I
If
have
they-
heard that this is null and void because of the additions and laws that changed. I have no idea.
Well, that should be checked into.
Yeah, I think there's some research that needs to be
Even
done.
though, you know, the road proper is in Raymond, it seems to me that, you know, the beneficiaries are in Gray.
Right.
And if it were a private road, you know, anywhere else, it would be up to the people who benefit from it. I realize there's only 6 people in Raymond, and that is a undue burden. But you have, somebody's generating all those thousands of
Yes.
trips. So I know the town of Gray's stepping up. I don't think they're gonna step up for Raymond, because I suggested that as a
No.
possible resolution. I think it's hard enough for them already politically to do this, you know, just for the Gray section, which they've done, to make this go away, as you've suggested.
Are they
But I'm-
paving it?
They're paving
Yeah,
the 600
yes.
foot section,
But
yes,
so,
they
so
are.
my question would be, more so than the town of Gray, because like I said, it's a little bit of a political conundrum for them, but the road associations, the homeowners, you know, to me, maybe Raymond is a part of this possibly, but there ought to be a significant component that comes from the beneficiaries, the people who are in Gray. That's how I look at it.
I agree, and I'm all for that. I guess what my thing is like I said, getting the talks going so we can get this fixed, and like Rolf said, kind of just summed up all 3 of it, you know.
They've got a pretty active association down there. I can't remember the name of it, but it's pretty active.
Acres and,
Yeah, there's 2 of them.
Wildwood?
Wild.
But if there was a
yes.
special assessment for those property owners, you know, along, and I don't know how you'd administer that, how you'd do that, but somehow there was a way for them to contribute, you know, if it were, like I said, if they have road associations, it shouldn't be difficult. You must have an assessment for taking care of your road, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you
the
get a bill?
association down there did pay to grind it and pave it in '93.
Right, and so now that Gray is doing this work, it would seem opportune to me to work together to see if there's a way to leverage the beneficiaries to be part of the solution.
But, if I may,
Mhm.
how come the association in Raymond, well, you don't have one?
Right.
And so, they've never looked to maintain it. And now,
We-
you know, after how many years? You've been there 83, so that's 34 years. Never,
I've
Worried
paved
about
the
it?
edge of the road along,
about 75 feet, I've fixed part of the road
Yeah,
on the edge. I
Yeah.
can only do what I can do.
right, right. Yeah, I mean, I get in my tractor and I do my whole road, and I do it 3 or 4 times a year. You know?
I can't afford a tractor, John.
Well, yeah, I understand that. But I'm just saying that people who live on private roads know they have to maintain it. Because when I bought my house in, was it 2003, there were covenants given to me saying, you have a right of way on this road, which is in the deed, but you must maintain it.
But you have people coming from both sides of public roads on that private road seriously using and abusing it. You know what I mean? So they are benefiting from it, but
But
on
that-
the other hand,
I don't know how-
I put a toll up.
Yeah, I don't know how you go to Gray and say, we want you to contribute to this.
Well,
If you're a Gray
There's-
resident, it's not your responsibility.
well, I think that's why I would lean on, if it was up to me, I'd lean a little bit more on the association, because they still share, most of that traffic's coming from the association, obviously from the association.
I don't think you have any leverage on them. I think it's
Oh.
gonna be a voluntary thing.
Yeah,
And
I
I
don't
think it's
think
gonna
you have
come
any
from,
leverage at
as
all.
Nathan said, from the association. I don't think you're gonna get anything from the town of Gray. I think they've done what they're gonna do.
I don't think we're there to bully them. I think we're there just to say, okay, how can we all make this better? Can you guys contribute? Can we contribute? Can the homeowners contribute? Can we all?
Even if this just ends as a resolution, even if it doesn't become a town road, but it ends as a resolution, whether they form an association, and the association down there contributes to their wear and tear on the road, I mean, something's gotta be done, whether somebody's gonna step in from the outside and say, look, you two need to get along and fix this.
Right.
Or we take it over as town
I'd have
road.
a hard time putting money into it if we did not ultimately have it as town road.
You're right.
Correct. If
I agree.
we're gonna get
If
involved
we're gonna-
and
if we're
put
gonna
money
get
into it, it's
involved,
gonna be
we're
our
gonna
road,
put up-
yes.
Put our stuff into it.
Yeah.
Then it's gotta come back the other way.
That's right.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's on
No,
our back.
when I said that, I meant just time involved in it. I wouldn't advocate for putting any money into that road if it was not gonna be a town road in the end.
And everybody would have to sign off on that too,
Yeah.
yes. And I agree, I so agree. So, I mean,
How do we benefit from it by being a town road?
they'll sign them.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're gonna do that though,
Then avoid.
you better start
part of the
looking
thing
at
of
other roads
maintaining-
around
Correct.
town
Maintaining a
that you're
private
saying,
This,
there's enough traffic here to make these town roads.
this does have it has some bad side to it, a lot of bad side to it, because it is gonna cause some ruckus, especially if you throw this at town meeting, people are gonna get, and unfortunately, there's many roads that have called and complained that would never fall into this category, and the ones that actually would, we never hear from.
Wow.
So there must be
Until now.
something in the deed also where it's a private way that allows traffic to go over it.
It's gotta be probably in an easement to, like
Yeah.
he was saying, to the association down there.
It has to be. Because, you know, where Rosewood's a private road, you could shut that off,
Correct.
That's why I
being a
said,
private
put up
road.
a toll.
Yeah.
That'll get you.
There's
Right.
gotta be something that,
Toll barriers up.
Yep.
there's gotta be something in there that gives them the right, it's gotta be either a public easement or something to each individual landowner down there
Yeah.
that allows them to go across that. I mean, that could be another whole issue in itself, that nobody has an easement to go across that.
I mean, there, you know, back in
Can you imagine?
'97, when Rosewood, that whole development was put in, there was a sign out there, residents only,
Right.
you
That
know?
is correct, yeah.
So, you know,
So I think you guys all need to pull out your deeds, start going through. just-
I have my deed at home,
yeah.
and, there's nothing in it. This is something somebody down the road's found. I think you know who.
So,
All right, so,
So I guess I'm looking for some direction. Do you want me
Yes.
to do a little more digging on this, or?
I think you have to.
yeah.
I do. How are you?
Yeah, we have no choice, really.
I am not ready to make a decision tonight.
No, and I don't think we should make a decision. If there's a lot of baby steps that
No.
we still need, there's a lot of prep work that we need to do, there's a lot of information. Like I said, I think there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle that, but I think it's something that needs to be addressed and fixed and all of that, so that's why I'm.
We're very pleased that at least you're talking about it.
Good.
Because we have not heard from anybody talking
Let's
about
do
it.
whatever research we need to do. But with the idea that we're moving forward on it, because I think it's something that needs to be done, period.
Well, I mean, that's How do you do that? How do you do research and say we're moving forward? You can't.
No.
Let's do the research.
The
before you
purpose
make a
of the
decision.
research is to determine whether we're gonna move
Right.
forward. Yes.
So Nathan can do some checking around.
Yeah, let me,
I really think you need traffic count.
we'll get old DOT, get a traffic count,
Yeah.
start with that. I think I'll have Kayla do some deed research, just pick a couple of deeds.
Yeah.
It's
See
not
what
gonna
you
be
can
this
find.
winter, by no means.
No, that's go to town meeting.
Well,
Yeah,
it couldn't,
yeah,
it
you
No,
couldn't
no, no,
anyway.
I'm just saying, it's good. No, I didn't think it was overnight, seriously.
Well, it couldn't
I just-
because it's got
You're not
to,
there now?
Yeah, right. It's just a matter of, it's opening it up.
And you have to budget for it.
Mhm.
Right, yep.
It's a lot of work that has to be done.
That would be, 25% of your budget.
Correct.
Nathan is really good on budgets. He's really good on budgets.
Till I run out of money. Run
We'll
out of
talk
money.
about that tonight. We're gonna set budget goals.
Yes. we are.
Nathan can't have more than this. All right, so that's what we're gonna do, and Nathan will let us know when he's got something that he can get back on another agenda, and go from there. Okay?
Can I ask you one question though? When you do a traffic count, can you do one in the summer and one in the winter?
They do an average
Yeah.
on the DOT stuff's an average for the most part. I think that's the only thing you're gonna get is an average. If you wanna wait to do a summer count, we'd have to pay to have that done.
Okay, I don't know
Yeah.
nothing about it.
Yeah,
so-
and that would put us out another year or two.
Road ain't gonna be there in another year.
No, it's gonna be dirt.
It'd be probably better if it were good.
At this point, yes.
Kent was driving through there and almost hit a pothole, and not nice words came out of there. Yeah, so, all right. Thank you guys for coming
Thank you.
to this. Thank you. All right, so now we're going to jump back over to, back up to the purchasing policy rewrite.
Yes. Well, I lost that, but anyway. So the purchasing policy, it's an amalgam of several towns and cities that, have more sophisticated policies clearly than Raymond. Our policy is, significantly old and certainly could be improved upon. And so that's really what we're seeking to do, is to improve upon the existing policy while still having something that's manageable for what is a small town without a dedicated purchasing department. And so we want to codify our existing policies, maintain flexibility, innovation, and transparency. So this policy, first and foremost, gives the selectmen the authority to approve all contracts for the town. Now, that's not what you're going to do. You're going to delegate it, but you do reserve that, that ability, which I think is important. So that's in the area of flexibility. So mostly, this is going to be administered by the town manager, by the finance department, by the department heads. So it provides for competitive bidding and competitive requests for proposals, and a number of exceptions that we use as a small town to advantage ourselves. We use a lot of innovative techniques here to get good pricing, and they include things like, flexibility for purchases that are below $25,000 at the vendor level. Naturally, if we have an emergency. So sometimes we have grant funds that we use, and sometimes there are specific conditions that are attached to grant funds that we need to adhere to, like, for instance, USA-made products or so forth. Participation in group purchasing programs like GP-COG, Main Power Options. Sometimes we do a competitive process here and we get no bids or bids that are unreasonable. We use through eBay, other means, we purchase a lot of used equipment in the computer area, so computer equipment, we shop that pretty hard in the used market. Legal services, of course, is something you want flexibility on. We buy a ton of used equipment and vehicles here to our advantage, so that's not something that you can, easily competitively bid. Benchmarking, we look at what towns that do competitive bidding do and what they receive for bids, and sometimes we're able to beat that through our own due diligence and research. Pre-approving vendors based on an hourly rate with no obligation to use the vendor. So Nathan has in particular, I think, has a number of vendors that you use on an hour basis. Sometimes we sole source if it's to our advantage to do so. This policy gives us some flexibility on acquiring brand name or specific products. You know, sometimes we seek, as other towns do, a particular model of vehicle or piece of equipment, and that has certain advantages to us. It provides policy for evaluating qualifications of prospective vendors and an appeal process for disqualified vendors. So it's quite comprehensive compared to what we had. But I would say comprehensive, but also incorporates and maintains flexibility and the ability to innovate. So that's what I attempted to do. I don't think we can go with a full-blown policy along the line of what, you know, some of these larger towns have. We just don't have the internal bureaucracy to support it. And so this is a sort of a middle ground that maintains the best of Raymond and hopefully incorporates more strictures and language to help guide, particularly some of the more sophisticated procurements.
Any questions or comments from you guys?
So far,
Go ahead.
So we're going from 1 page to 5.
That's a small compared to most of the more suburban, larger towns, which is what the instruction that I had was to take a look at what other towns are doing, and it's once again this classic Raymond conundrum: are we Western Maine or are we not Western Maine? More suburban Portland. If you're more suburban Portland, it's going to be a lot more than 5 pages in some instances. If you're Western Maine, it could be less than a page.
I would like to think we are the common sense town. When you start getting the specific details,
Yeah.
you tie your hands up.
Well, that's what this is attempting to try not to do, is to try to give some more specifics, some more guidance, some more policy, but to also enable the business practices that we have done in history, but to maybe make some, I guess, to put some language around it so people understand what we're doing and why we're doing it.
I never like putting specific dollar amounts in on anything. That ties your hand right there. All right, you're at $25,000. What if something's 25,001 or 25,100? Are you not going to be able to move forward at that point? Where does the common sense come in on that one?
No, it says that we want you to, when you have something that's below 25,000, you're gonna just use your judgment on what, and when you're over, you're gonna pick from one of these methods, is what it says.
But I guess looking
mean,
at.
the old one had 3 different.
I know.
The old one's
And
terrible.
most
And the old
policies,
one's terrible.
but most policies
But I think
that
this
you
is over.
It's one
Yeah.
paragraph.
And I guess nothing,
3 ways.
please don't take this personally, Kathy. I don't know why the finance director is involved in a lot of this on here.
Well, I was trying to use that as if we need something, we'll get it done.
Right.
I mean, most purchasings are through the finance director, and we're not taking anything away from the department heads, because
But we
Well,
don't.
and I think that's what I'm reading on here is another level, because it goes to Dawn, to the finance director, to the department heads. And one of the things, if not anything, is our department heads are really good with getting deals.
oh, no,
So
there's not, no,
Okay.
this is John, department head, that's it. And if
Okay.
we need additional rules, and or they need me to do something, I'll do it. That's really what it's saying. It's not supplanting department heads in any way.
Okay, and honestly, I think it's too much. Is it?
It's more consistent with how things are running today than the old policy. That's the problem. The old policy is way out of date and not sophisticated enough.
Old policy is.
We're not sophisticated enough. Maybe this is too much. I said that to Teresa on the phone when she gave me her first reaction. I mean, we're not opposed to decontenting this, simplifying it. We're not opposed to that at all. But you have to start somewhere.
Right.
So what we started with is trying to codify the best we can what we do now. And what we do now is a combination of things which I think over time, I think anyone would agree, have advantaged the town. We are more innovative and flexible than most towns, but it's hard to write that into a
Yeah.
policy. It's hard to write that into a real simple
I think
policy.
you guys did a good job. I just think, personally, I think it's a lot that could be cut down in words. I think you guys did good, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, so we talked about that. I mean, we can certainly give a shot at simplifying it, but to have some guidance, one good piece of guidance we just got is dollar limits.
Don't put them in there.
Don't put them in there. So is there other guidance that you want to give so that we can come back on this?
To me, the most important part of any purchasing policy is the competitive bid process. You know, you have to define what is a competitive bid, and, you know, what happens. No, you have to say, and it says it in here, that a competitive bid is a request for proposal, and the standards are written out, and everyone must meet these standards on a competitive bid. And then we can move forward, and it comes to the selectmen, you know, if it's, you know, if it might need selectmen approval to award the bid, such as when we did the insurance with Kai's.
Right.
Right? That was a competitive bid, they came in, they got awarded the policy. And so I think that's, to me, that's the most important part of the competitive bidding. And then I would like to see that you're allowed to use common sense and make split-second decisions without having to come to the select board. Because sometimes there's emergency situations, and what are you gonna do, call a selectman meeting and come in
No,
and
I
vote?
mean, that's why we put it,
That's why it's written the way it is.
there is an exception for
Right, there are
emergency.
exceptions, but, you know, I'd rather see it streamlined, you know, maybe 2 pages, maybe not 1, but I think you can do this in 2, at most, that still protects you and the town when you have to buy
Okay.
something.
Yeah, I think we can do that.
Rolf, you're really quiet down there.
No, I mean, you know, I've seen more encompassing ones, I've seen less encompassing ones, you know. You know, the intent when I started down the path of saying, you know, let's look at policies to see where, you know, if we've got things that are really antiquated and whatnot, let's look at those and see what we can do to make sure that we're not spinning our wheels when we don't have to spin our wheels, and that we're protecting ourselves when we need to protect ourselves. So, you know, Joe, you know, there's some heartburn with some people on having dollar limits in there. I don't necessarily think that's, you know, some guidance level in there, because you know, you've got to, you know, I mean, it's either that or you define a minor purchase and a major purchase, and where do you make that break? Is it dollars, or is it in types of equipment or something like that, or types of services? I don't know, but I mean, there should be some delineation between a major and a minor. I mean, we don't want to get into having a major policy to have to go out and buy copier paper. But we do want to have a policy that says, you know, you're not going to go out and buy a fire truck without meeting certain doing certain things.
It's more like common sense factor. Because
So-
I'm thinking of paving, and
Can
we
you see
spend
the common sense?
$350,000, $400,000 a year on paving, and I've consistently been below our
Yeah.
Cumberland County's GP cog bid pricing.
And that falls under benchmarking,
Yeah.
looking at what other people who are doing competitive, you know, bids together are getting, and then if you can negotiate a better deal than that, then that's to our advantage, correct? On a ton basis.
But also, you need to also state that you don't necessarily give the bid to the lowest bidder.
No.
Yeah, that was.
That's right.
Yeah.
That was,
we don't wanna
yeah,
do
and
that,
that should be written in any bid package anyway,
That
because,
you can negotiate with someone else to come down in price or whatever.
Well, we've been known, this town, as you know, we've been known to get a competitive bid and then negotiate it lower,
Right.
yeah.
so.
And that's, you know, that's fine, you know, and you can state, you know, you can put that into the bid package. There's nothing wrong with saying that, you know, it's gonna be narrowed down here, then it'll get into a negotiation. That's
So-
that's perfectly fine. You know, I mean, you know, as I say, my whole intent behind all this was, you know, if there's things we're doing well, keep doing them well. If there's areas that we can improve on to, you know, do something a little bit better, do that. It wasn't to try and copy somebody else's
Okay.
procedure per se.
So I may be a little bit off track, because I thought that we were gonna look at other communities, but I got it now. Here's what I think we do. We try to codify the best of what Raymond's doing, put some more specifics around, you know, how we do competitive bids. I need still guidance on dollar limits or not, because I'm hearing a mixed bag on that. But I think we can do this. I think we can deliver what you want in 2 pages.
But
Whether you're right.
I also think you probably have state statute somewhere that defines competitive bidding and what it
No,
is.
there's,
There's nothing on competitive bidding at all.
well, no, they have their own
Right,
statute.
they have their own policies
Yeah.
on their administrative side, but
Mhm.
I'm thinking there's gotta be something on the municipal side about what is competitive bidding.
Well, everything in this level is theoretically approved by the selectmen unless there's a
Right.
policy that says it's not.
Right, which is what this says.
So this,
Yeah.
so this is a policy that says there's not. So, I mean, the whole municipal law thing says the power rests with the selectmen.
So we're
You don't have to, you can decide not to use it. If the 5 of you don't want to use a bid or a request for proposal, then you certainly don't have to do that.
I mean, you can always have something that says something like, unless the selectmen delegate to the town manager.
That's
or the
what it
finance
does.
director.
That's what it does say.
The first
Yeah.
paragraph says, we're the selectmen and we do anything we want, and the second paragraph says,
Which I thought you'd like that section.
I read
That the
I
selectmen have
apologize.
overarching authority, which I think you should have.
would say only Joe Bruno as selectman has overarching authority. If that's okay with everybody.
But I'm just saying, the selectmen maintain under law their authority, but they delegate it under this policy, and here's how we do it. Maybe it's too complicated, maybe it's too wordy. I think we can address those things. I'm positive we can address those things. I'm relatively certain, okay, I'm certain we'll get to 2 pages somehow, but what I don't know is whether you
Shrink the
want
point,
limits,
shrink the type.
dollar limits in there.
Yeah.
Joe says no, is that a no?
I agree with Joe.
You agree with Joe, okay. So I need a little bit of guidance on that, and I think other than that, we're good to go on a
Yeah, I mean,
rewrite.
instead of dollar, I would almost try and define it as either a major purchase or,
Yeah.
I mean, because supplies are one thing and,
Capital
capital
purchase?
equipment, capital purchase is something different.
But when you say major.
Major
we
is a
ha-
capital
no,
purchase.
No, and it kicks me back to the RSU, because what did you consider major? Like a new roof? You can spend millions, but then they actually put it in
We
new
could-
footprint.
you
is
could
what
A
it-
capital
it-
purchase or a
define it.
significant bid, I consider a significant bid, like an insurance bid's a significant bid.
Right.
Health insurance is significant, those are
So
significant
again,
bids.
common sense, yeah.
An exception, though, is the paving, as he points out, because through benchmarking, he's able to beat the curve. So we gotta figure out how to deal with that.
Well, no, and I think doing this policy is we're looking at who is currently here, I guess is what it is. And we know the department heads we have here are very conservative, stuff like that. I don't think we want to do this policy again in another couple of years if we don't have Nathan, Bruce, Kathy, or whatever. So we're trying to look at this thing long-term, is what it is for.
What she's telling you, Nathan, is you're fired.
I'll leave the truck, I'll walk home, thank you.
I'll give you a ride.
Yeah, thanks.
They're right back, though.
You might
Joe
want to
is
suck your
such a,
mailbox in a little closer to your house.
Crapster for stuff.
I mean, really, kind of at the end of the day, Nathan is really doing a lot of
What we want him to do.
what the heart of that
Right.
is. I mean, he's getting bid, so, maybe he's not writing a formal bid package, but he's getting the input from X, Y, and Z, and then he's negotiating with someone. So, I mean, the heart of what's in there is being done. It's not that he's out there running wild, just picking some
Right.
guy, and, I mean, because we know, that's not what he's doing. But what it does do is this puts some markers in the ground for somebody down the road.
And
Because,
the other thing that's different-
as we all know, we ain't gonna be here forever.
The other thing
Yeah.
that's different about this town is that we make a real conscientious, I think, effort to make sure that we wring every dollar out of the
Yeah.
things that we are,
Yeah.
disposing of, discarding, and that we advantage ourselves to the fullest possible extent with the purchases. So, we're trying to, sell at retail and buy at wholesale to the degree possible. Most towns don't do that. They look, for the sake of bureaucratic, I guess, transparency, simplicity maybe even, they basically just don't do that. They tend, in my mind, to spend more than they need to and receive less than they should for their surplus.
Yeah, and some of the stuff I think is an operational issue that doesn't have to be in the policy, like the appeal process and on procurement and, the quality of the bidder, whether they
I
need
get
a
it.
performance bond. That's almost like an operational manual type of thing versus a policy.
And thank you for putting that on there, seriously, I mean, because we saw it, we saw the difference to look at, but.
Believe me, this is, as Ralph alluded to, this is a middle point compared to some. I mean,
Yeah.
you can
Oh,
really
yeah.
go on a lot longer.
I've
I mean,
seen
there's some
some
that
that
are,
go-
there's some that are 20 pages, you know?
Right, so, all right, so you have your direction,
Sure,
cool, we can move
Okay.
on?
all right.
Okay.
We can do it.
Draft FY 2018-19 budget schedule.
Okay, so this you'll like. It looks different than past years. It's simplified, and it's simplified in some ways because it doesn't have extraneous dates that don't matter to you in it. It has the dates that matter to you.
All right, perfect.
But the dates that don't matter to you that are still essential still happen, you just don't have them in your schedule,
Oh my god.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, that March 13th date might be an issue for me as I started looking at my
Vacation
calendar.
schedule.
Exactly.
Barry, I think, is going for the whole month of March in the budget finance too, so.
We tried to do it so that there was never 2 weeks in a row that you were meeting, so that it was at least 2 weeks apart.
We gave vacations. Some people just take more vacations.
I mean, that's been the week I go on vacation for 25
Do you want to
years.
move it up a week? I don't want to move it the other way because,
Yeah, I mean, I could do like March 6th or whatever.
okay. I gave this,
To the
You know-
Budget Finance Committee.
well, no, I didn't. I just Marshall, I called
Just
Marshall
Marshall.
and talked to him.
Yeah.
So we can change that to March 6th, but leave the March 27th for the joint
Yeah.
budget.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
So that would just leave, the presentations would be back to back, 2 weeks in a row.
No, I'm not gonna be here.
When?
Uh-oh.
March
Just,
6th?
yeah, I'm going the 2nd through the 9th. That's right, you guys can do it without me, I'm good.
No, I mean, then, can we do it on, more than likely I'm here on the 12th, if you wanna do it on a Monday night.
Lonnie, what's your schedule, Rolf?
Monday nights were the historic night anyway.
12th.
Line that far out.
At
The
one
12th,
time.
Okay. Yeah, we're going actually
It is
3/2
what it
through
is.
3/9.
So Monday night?
Does March 12th work?
Yeah,
So,
We're saying March 12th?
yep, instead of
work
the
for you?
13th.
you guys all set for March 12th?
Yeah.
All right,
Of course, that's all subject to what the
Thank you
budget
for,
finance, that's subject to what the budget
Everything
finance.
else.
no
Yeah,
problem.
right.
Thank you, thanks for coming in.
Thanks, guys. Bob, I'll drop that off to you tomorrow.
Okay.
So the only date on
Watch
your
out for the
meeting
potholes
is
on
to
the
the
way home.
12th.
Yeah.
I
And
have a
it-
sign
and that
in
will
my
be
road that says nature's potholes, drive slow.
And then I'll change this
Nature.
to say Monday.
So we're gonna move town meeting to June 12th.
It's the second Tuesday. in-
Well, it's the
Right.
election. The
It's-
second Tuesday is the election,
Oh,
the election portion of town meeting. It would be the,
it'll be the 5th.
Town meeting? That's not what they were saying, budget finance, they were saying it was the 12th.
I thought you said it was the 12th.
no, that's the election portion of the
Right.
town meeting.
Because Marshall was reading off, when I was here the other night, reading off the dates, and he said the 12th
Because it says on
too.
your annual town meeting, but that's actually the election.
That's the election half of town
And we
meeting.
usually, and you have to have it within 7 days. of
You
town
don't
meeting.
have to, no.
Okay.
Can you send him out a new update? Thank you very
Mhm.
much.
So what's
So
the,
the town
I
meeting
mean, we
would be
have
normally
tried
around the 5th.
The Tuesday night,
Yeah, it doesn't
Mhm.
get,
I mean,
And we did Wednesday night once.
once,
And town meeting has been going
down.
down. It's a slowdown, but last time it was, 63 people? And 20 odd of them were staff and members of the boards that were sitting at the front.
maybe we can move all those people to the
Mhm.
school board meetings. Okay. All right, so we good on that schedule?
so this is the first
When is the
Tuesday in
town
June
meeting?
then? The town meeting is the first.
What time's the
For
town?
For the
what
open
time-
town meeting, yes.
What time's the
Open
town
town
meeting at,
Mm.
Sue?
I'm
What
sorry?
time's the town meeting?
Then we do a 6
It has been
o'clock?
6 o'clock.
Uh,
I think one time it was 6:30, or was it 7? Maybe it was 7.
Well,
No.
there
7's
was-
too late.
No, it was
There
6
was-
to 6:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had,
I know it was
we had
different
that one
ones.
year when
Right.
it said one thing in one document, one thing in another.
Yeah, because it had been different the prior year. Mhm.
So you guys.
So
good?
you'll send out new dates for us, that's all I care about.
Yeah.
And then I'll put them in when I see the new memo.
Yes.
Okay, and you guys are still good with the 6 o'clock, town meeting?
Yep.
All right.
I mean, I would like to try and get more people there, and I don't know how you do it, but maybe if we put something controversial on.
Put the private road.
Put the road
The private road thing.
That'll
That might
do it.
Throw a street light in there and you got
Yeah,
Yeah.
streetlight's always a good one, too.
2-hour meeting with a.
Maybe stick a rotary in at North Raymond Road and Ledge Hill Road.
I like that.
That'll get them,
Yeah.
that'll get them out, yeah.
And then while everybody's there, we can just say, oh, this has been tabled, move to the next. Then you see everybody get up and walk out. All right, we're good on that? We can move along? Yep. Okay, let's go to budget goals.
So you have in your packet last year's goals, which are derivative from, you know, the past several years with some additions each year. So
I think we could cut some of these down.
that would, simplicity is always good, but that you have, looks like 16 different goals.
I remember sitting down
Priorities.
there next to Lonnie going, we can take out 1, 11, and last year. All right. So if we go down through these, anybody know of any that you want to pick out of there?
Well, I'd take out 16.
Yeah.
We could put that in there, but word it differently, you know?
Yep.
Can take out 15, because that's,
And 15, unless you're,
Yeah.
unless you're talking about raising funds to put a second side on.
Right.
So, some of them, to me, are things that are
Sounds good.
givens, like 14, an
That's
adequate
good.
budget to maintain and improve the town's technology offerings. That's the charge you have anyway, isn't it?
So isn't that the charge you have on every budget?
Correct.
Like, not
That would
just
be the charge you have,
technology?
correct.
What?
But I'm just using that as an example.
Right.
That's the charge you have on any budget, right?
I mean, Nathan might need a bigger increase in his paving and maintenance budget. Where are we on paying down bonds, by the way?
we just paid off the public safety building and the 302 water line.
Water line.
And they're
Right.
gone.
So,
Yep.
yeah, I've
So
got,
that's about
it's like
100,000?
No, 200.
200.
100,
That public safety was like 100.
100 in the TIF and 100 in the general fund. So that frees up money in the TIF to use for something else.
Oh, I can think of a few things.
Well, it has to fit into the TIF.
The playground.
Yeah.
See?
I don't know,
See?
I'm looking at
See?
this.
Got it right once.
Teresa knows how to spend money.
Yep. All right,
So,
so what other ones are we gonna take out of here?
16, 15.
What about 11?
Well, that's what
We
we
just
just talked
discussed
about.
You know, he really needs to sit back here as the chair, because he's not so mean then.
I'm not being mean.
You're
I'm
sarcastic.
just pointing out.
You were having a
I
private
think,
conversation
to me,
earlier.
number 9, you know,
Using common
bond for
sense.
capital improvements versus, for capital
Yeah.
improvements versus capital reserve budgeting. Capital reserve budgeting is such a thing of the past now. I mean, that's not something we're doing, really.
Well, we are in some ways.
But not like we used to. I mean, it used to be,
Right.
we were trying to change the
That
mindset.
was a Charlie
and-
Murray thing from back in the 80s and early 90s.
Right, but that was about changing
Well,
the
it had-
mindset.
It did have
between-
its place when bonds were at 10%.
Right,
Oh.
right.
And so you really had to make your choice between bonding at 10% or planning for a few years.
But we are still continuing to put away, what, 100 and something thousand?
For paving.
Yeah, but
For public
75,000 of it is paving, so
Yeah,
it's, you know.
And public safety equipment
Yeah,
is a
public
pretty
works
chunk.
equipment's 95,
Yeah,
I think, and paving's 300.
Yep,
Yeah.
300.
Yeah. That
but,
95
but I mean,
covered.
public safety, whenever they want an ambulance or
They've
a
got money
fire
tucked
truck,
away.
we put money away every year, like 75,000.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We financed the plow truck, the last plow truck. We financed my pickup actually too.
Yeah.
You know, so we got one more payment on the
But
plow
I think,
truck too.
my point is
And
that I
that's
think
it.
the notion
We
of
played off
bonding
your
as a
truck
foreign
this
My
year.
pickup
strategy
paid off, right?
That-
is
yeah,
no
that's
longer.
done.
Right.
You know, it used to be considered a foreign strategy. Most conservative Maine towns, of which Raymond was a leader in that area, would never consider bonding at one time, right?
But now rates are
On very, you know, on a
three-
limited basis, you know.
3.5 right now.
We bonded the
They're going
schools and
up from
things
what
like
they were,
that,
yeah.
but that was back
I
when.
mean, remember, we were
actually owned the
bonding at
school.
2% not too long ago. Now we're probably up 3.5.
I think the last I looked was
Yeah.
3.3, I think, 3.2 or
Yeah.
3.3
Yeah,
a week ago.
yeah.
All right, so
I
how about 7?
Well, 13 should be an organizational thing anyways, the trainings, that should just be,
I think 7 you can remove.
7's good. You can take that out.
Well, we always do that anyway.
yeah, that's
something we do.
common, that's just like an
Yeah.
organizational thing
Yeah.
also.
Right.
Like 7,
Well, that's what I'm saying, is the organizational things that you would expect to be doing anyway shouldn't be there.
right,
That's something
and
you-
number 13
You'd
is
expect
a
to do
training
that,
and
and if there
staff
are
development
opportunities
as
in that
well.
area, you would bring them to the budget, right?
Is the unfunded,
Well, that would make 6, so.
is the undesignated fund balance growing?
Yes. It was like, it grew and then we used 270, so it sort of, it was a sort of a wash there.
I think
But we
a
always
lot
have an
it is
excess of
just,
revenue
like,
over what we
organizational.
budget, and there's
Mhm.
usually an underpayment,
Like
you know, there's
continue
usually
to explore
So there'll be-
under
privatization and
expend,
outsourcing.
so,
That's
Well,
yeah,
they do
there
that.
always.
There will be, but I wouldn't,
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
say it
Automatically,
always
I
will
would,
happen,
I
but it
would
has
take that out.
historically, history has said that, yeah.
Mm.
But we don't know about, I mean, that's what
What
we're
I
told.
said, 6.
How did the tax payments come in? Did they come in?
We collected more than 50%, which is,
That's good.
Good,
yeah.
it's good.
Can we take out 6? I think that's a common sense
Yeah,
thing
that's
too.
just,
That's just practice.
Any new ones? Anybody got any new ones?
The list might be shorter if you tell me which ones you want to keep.
Yeah, I know, I got a list going to take ones out too.
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't we just say, deliver a budget that makes sense? Honestly,
Use common sense.
use common sense. You know,
And
we
that's
don't
it.
want a 10% tax increase. Yeah,
No.
we wanna see more maintenance of roads.
And we are seeing
We want more for nothing.
You know, the biggest thing that I've
That's what Joe
noticed,
was saying.
and what I hear most from people, is how good the Raymond roads are.
Really?
Since they've been repaved and a lot of work has been done and the trenching on the sides, that's what I hear from people.
We covered a lot of ground last
Yeah.
5 years, we covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
$10 million
So,
goes a long
the
way.
thing is, you can't stop that, you gotta keep it up.
Right.
So I got that one, more emphasis there.
I think that covers it.
That we're gonna move to a town council form of budget and have control over the school budget. Oh.
Good luck with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I can get that going.
All right. So
All right.
should we rework the list and send it back out?
Yeah.
And if we have to have it
And-
come back,
and-
we
Do-
can.
do
but-
the-
And just like that
Organizational
policy,
consistency.
shorten this to maybe 4 or 5 items.
Okay,
Cool.
can do it, yeah.
I think that's good.
All right,
4 or 5 items with more punch.
any
Right.
more
Right.
comments so we can move on?
Yep.
Okay.
You got 20 minutes.
That's right.
They told me to be out here. The electronic sign policy.
Well,
I called Don because the comment was made to me. Or was it made to you too?
well, I told you what I would do with this. But you wanted it on the agenda. We did get comments about it.
We did.
We have got a comment from a member of the Budget Committee. We've gotten comments from citizens, not an overwhelming number of comments, but we got comments along the line of, geez, it looks pretty silly that we got this great sign on one side, the back sign has nothing. Who thought of that? You know, kind of thing. We can make it two-sided, you know, it's, and the numbers are in your packet. But to me, if that's your interest, what I would really like to get from you, if that's your interest, let's talk about it during the budget.
But didn't we have the discussion already about one-sided versus two-sided?
No,
We did,
they said
yes,
there-
we did, we
There was an
discussed it,
aerial
we
view.
discussed it in the budget last year.
Yeah.
I was a proponent for having 2 sides, and, the overriding issue was that everybody said there's gonna be no line of sight on it.
Right.
Now that it's in there, you have.
There
There
is.
is line of sight.
Is there line of sight, and would it make sense to have that? I mean, as I say, I thought we should have but, the real telling thing is gonna be when you start getting snowbanks up there. What's the impact of that? And then the other side of that is how long do those snowbanks last? So, I mean, if you have a month where people can't see it well, but they have 11 months where they can, well, then maybe it makes sense. If they can only see it for 4 months, then it doesn't make sense. So I think maybe what you do is you run it through
That's
this
the process.
this snow season and see.
But that sign's up pretty high.
Yeah, just-
But I mean,
Well,
I
that's the
think when it went in there, people realized that you do
Yeah.
have a better shot at it.
Well, and I think, well, shoot myself in the foot here, we just pushed the snow the other way, because we've been stacking it beside the flagpole there and causing that big snowbank. All we do is push it the other way. The snow coming up off from the road doesn't get that high there. It's on a southerly exposure and melts pretty quick there, but the
And the
biggest.
heat off the sign on it.
Well, it
Right,
shouldn't be
right,
heat
no
off the
pressure.
sign.
Yeah.
It's
But
LEDs.
so
It
the
shouldn't be
height
heat
of the
off the
sign,
sign.
it's hard to really get a feel of the height of the sign until the sign's in, first issue.
Correct.
So now the sign's in,
Yeah,
and so to
consider
get
it
it,
like a
conceptualize
budget
it,
item, that's it.
you know, when it's in, it's a lot different than if you're just talking about it. So it is different, it does have better visibility than what was anticipated. You know, it's not square to the road, which bothers me, but I'm, you know,
Oh, they're still
attentive.
gonna be able to read
I
it,
know,
though, yeah.
I know, but,
Well, you
but,
can-
but it's only off a few degrees, so certainly it would be readable and would be useful going both directions. But it's whether you wanna have it as part of the budget discussion this year, some other year. I'm just telling you that, well, I guess you're telling me that we're getting, people are
Well, because you're coming
commenting
down
about
the
it.
road and all you see is this sign, and it doesn't do anything, and you have to go around to the other side to see it. But when you're coming
You
down
read it
off
in
the
your
hill-
mirror.
I watched the road.
The one thing I would say though about it is, if you decide to do it,
Yeah.
do it right. Do it like the other side. Don't do any halfway decals.
I agree.
Do it right.
Yeah. No, you do,
I think that would be the
like you did at the
discussion, too.
fire
Yeah.
station, the same thing on
Do
both
it,
sides.
do it right.
Budget.
Yes,
Yeah. Okay, let's put it back on the agenda for budget season.
Because I think, I mean, Sue had gotten pricing on it.
Yeah, she still has it, which is good.
Well, it's still valid,
Is
that's the
that
question.
set in cement? Or can you
Well,
move it?
well, no, it's actually bolted to the concrete. You could move it if you wanted to, but I think the undertaking of that would be disastrous.
You
If
can
it were
still
me,
see,
you
you
could
can
take
see
the-
it
I would move
perfectly
it, because I
clear.
want it square.
Right.
The back,
How bright
the back,
that is?
the back, if you put a back panel on that, if I understood correctly, you can skew it so it's actually straight to the road.
Oh, so you kind of
Yeah, the
put out
sign's
one side.
Set
yeah.
like that, and you just kind of turn that panel, put
Yeah.
it on a hinge and
Right.
set it out.
Yeah.
You can move it, I mean, it's doable. It's,
When-
nothing's not doable.
All of Webb's Mills lost their power, all of it. Someone puts on Facebook and says, all of 85 lost power, but that sign's still on
By
up
the way,
there.
Right,
so
that's
aside from the
yeah.
couple of people who
Oh,
said that it ought to
okay.
be two-sided, there's been nothing but positive about it.
Right.
Nothing but positive about the signs.
So we're adding to the
Until
positive.
they hear how much we paid for it.
No, I don't think so. But look at the other signs. There's an example where maybe
What are the numbers
last
on
is
there?
first. If you look at that sign and its capabilities
60,000.
versus some of the other signs that were earlier, and I was against color originally, but that sign really
Wouldn't be
does.
that much.
Stands out.
It stands out, and Sue has done an exceptional job in programming those slides, don't you think? And I think that there's some level of artistry, if you will, or at least creativity, to get those slides on there, and I think it's very cool. Got a lot of
I like
positive.
the one in big letters, taxes due.
That was the
Yeah,
first
I
one.
like
That's a
that.
good one.
Someone said that, they said, do you pay for this sign? And that's the first thing
Then
they
you got
found.
then you got the cute little puppy, and it says, register your dog, 2.
Oh, I'm going slow, and you're trying to go slow just to see what the next one is before it turns.
It's only 21,000.
Yeah,
21,000.
yeah, it's not that much.
You couldn't miss that one.
Take that out of the survey.
Dawn, I goofed. I'm sorry. I thought that was a sign. Okay, we're gonna jump back and go to electronic sign policy. What I didn't realize is a lot of people are looking to use
Oh,
that sign.
maybe I jumped over that.
I did that one. Go ahead, Dawn.
Okay, so we've developed a policy to help to guide the use of the sign, which is in your packet. Perhaps it's too comprehensive, I don't know, I hope not, but we tried to make it so it would be something that would give us some guidance, some ability to prioritize the use of the sign and to address the requests that are coming in now
By who?
by various organizations. I'll let the clerk speak to that, she takes them, but give some examples of.
Well, one would be our representative behind us.
That's one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think you were first, actually.
domestic violence
Yes. Yeah, we've had a request from the rec committee to put up their sign up for, what was it, soccer and skiing.
Which
So
to
I
me
made a-
should be there.
So I
They're
made,
not
so I
allowed to
made a
send
slide
them
for
home to
that.
schools anymore.
Right.
If it's not school
The school
sponsored.
isn't helping them.
Oh, I have one that really amused me, and
Yeah,
that
'cause
is
you've
the
had a
school,
couple.
the school, not
Yes.
officially from the school,
Mhm.
but we'll call it the school because it's more fun to do that. The school said, we want to put a message on there, and I said, oh, interesting. Your media is, you don't put town messages or any kind of external messages because there's not space and it dilutes your mission and message, but you want to put something on our sign. But it was too late, that the event had already gone by.
And when there was an attempt at a community center over here, they had asked, can we put stuff on your sign when you get it up and running?
I think whatever we do decide, it has to go for both signs. The ones down
Oh,
at
it is.
Public
It's
Works
both sides.
too?
It's both sides.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
because they're tied in right there.
Yeah, no, there's
Same
policies for
message.
both.
But I have a,
Sort of.
you know, you've got a prohibited use is political messages and events. Voting is a political event. So you could not put voting day information up there.
Oh.
No, that's
I
not
think you
strictly
can.
true.
Ah,
Yeah.
I'm taking it,
Yeah.
it says political messages and events. Voting is an event, and it's political.
I would say
I would
that's
think
civic.
not, no.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Yeah,
call it
that's-
political.
Voting is not a,
A civic duty?
it's just, yeah, it's not.
It's
a-
Civic obligation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
The
We have an
candidates are
obligation to do that.
political, but the voting process itself is just that, a process.
Yeah.
So it's not,
Here's,
that's cutting hairs, I
Do you
know,
want
but,
something else?
here's what I'm thinking, that the town of Raymond itself has priority to the sign.
yes.
Any messaging on town stuff is the priority.
Mhm.
When you start getting into private organizations using the sign, it gets real iffy for me.
Didn't you guys put on there too that there's bottled water at certain places, I think I read on
Mhm.
there, and where they could
Yeah,
find?
well, that,
Yeah,
that
which
was
is
a
good.
town,
Exactly.
that was an
That's
emergency
an emergency
notification.
message.
But
We
that
put
was
some
great that
emergency
people
messages
could
up.
see that.
Yeah, I mean, I could see, I know, if the school calls and says, we're not having school today, can you post it on your sign?
Mhm.
I could see doing that
Yeah.
as a favor, as much as, you know, their budget should afford their own damn sign and send out a message. I mean,
They do have a system to do that. They haven't asked for that, but I would agree if they asked for something like that. But this was something else. It was something else.
you know, so if you're driving your kid to school up 85 and you see no school, you know, don't, you know, turn around and take your kid somewhere.
Well, especially in something sudden, something breaks
Right.
in the school or
Right.
something.
But I just have a hard time with private organizations. You know, Raymond baseball, softball, should they have the right to say, hey, it's sign-up time?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, sure, why
and-
not?
I mean, I think they can
But-
put it on the town of
But
Raymond website.
they're a private
Yeah.
organization, they're not part of the town.
Mhm.
And so, and where do you draw that line?
Exactly, that's why we tried to
But
do
we
that.
tried to come up with something to
Yeah.
help guide it, but maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and what I did to get this was I sent out something over the Clerks Network to ask for anyone who had some,
Yeah.
and I took bits and pieces that seemed to fit Raymond.
Anything that's put on the sign, is there a way that we can kind of flash that on our Facebook page? Like a message that changes too, that they see it on there?
We do that. We
Okay.
coordinate the sign, the website, Facebook, and TV.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, Kayla does Facebook and the TV, and I've been doing the web, or she does some of the web, and I do some of the web. And I
It
do
would
the
be
sign.
kinda cool if on your website you could have the same
The same
sign
image, yes, that's true. I
going
could do
at the
that.
same time.
Because they can see it.
Mhm.
That's what it is.
Yeah, that I could do.
When they're
I'm
driving.
sure Kevin has a solution for you, because.
Yeah,
All right.
he does.
So what do you guys want to do? You good with this? Do you want it shorter? Do you want, boy, we're into shorter lately.
It's one page.
Yeah.
I know it's one page, I just have a hard time determining who gets access to the sign, who doesn't. If you just say it's for the town of Raymond use,
Because our message could easily get lost.
right.
Yeah.
And then you could, then once again, if you want to, you can delegate it to me, if you
Mhm.
want to. Or you can have it written down precisely what it is.
Mhm.
Send it that way?
Because there are some exceptions, as you point out, that you would make.
Yeah.
And if you don't
I
like
have
them, you
no
can tell me.
problem delegating authority to the town manager to make a determination who could get a message on there. And if there's one I don't like, you will hear about it.
No.
Really? You complain?
I don't complain, I point out errors.
In your view.
In
All
my
right,
view.
moving on. You guys moving on? Good?
So what do you want to do about it? Do you want to come back with a different draft?
No, I think you ought to pick and, use your
Right, but
judgment.
we
use the
have
common sense.
something ready tonight, but I don't know if this needs, well, I guess if it's your policy, it needs your approval, so,
But I think this policy is too long.
so we'll come back.
Okay, but you're saying how to request a posting. If we're not gonna do that, then let's just take that.
No, you can request a posting to the town manager.
So we'll redo it and come
Mhm.
back.
Yep.
That's what we do.
But I think in your policy, you may wanna say that the priority is given town of Raymond messages,
Mhm.
and, you know, all other determinations will be by the town manager, and
Mhm.
talk about political messages and private business and that kind of stuff.
Right.
That is strictly prohibited.
Mhm.
Right,
I see.
I got it, okay.
Right?
Other than voting day.
What, Rolf?
Other than voting day.
Yeah. Okay. Appointment of a public access officer. Sue,
I'll make a motion
go
to
ahead.
make Sue Look public access officer.
Second?
Any questions?
Now, do we want to make me alternate in case of?
You could be
Which
deputy.
that I would designate you
Okay,
as.
you can,
Yeah.
you can,
I
in
can
case you're not
appoint-
available.
I can appoint you as that.
I'm sorry.
Okay, all in favor?
There you go.
All right. And you can do what you have to deputize him or
Yes.
whatever, so.
I'll swear it in later.
All right, public comment. Anybody, public, anybody? All right, selectmen comment.
I have one.
I have-
You know, when Luneco Land Trust and the town of Raymond got into a union to purchase the Raymond Community Forest, I specifically said to Carrie, was it Walia? Walia?
Walia. She's
Walia.
gone. Yeah.
And she's gone. As long as you can ensure me that people who have traditional uses, hunting, snowmobiling, any outdoor use, will not be compromised. And she assured me that was the case. Now they are posting the land. They don't want any mechanized vehicles out there. Is a mechanized vehicle a snowmobile? I think so. And I'm thinking the next step is gonna be, they're gonna outlaw hunting on that land. And so I'm kind of upset that the executive director at the time made a deal with us and said, yep, we just want to purchase the land for conservation use, and then goes back on their word, since they have a new executive director now, and is posting signs all along that community forest. So no one's supposed to go in there and snowmobile now. And so I'm upset about it, and Don contacted them, and we got this big, long email back that, well, Luneco Land Trust owns that land, and we could determine how it's used. That was not the deal when Raymond put up, what, $30,000 or more?
Well,
To purchase that
you
land?
also had private contributions as well.
Yeah, and I put in some money too, which, the fact that they're posting that land now really bothers me.
Yep.
Do you
Me
want
too.
them to come and talk to us?
We're gonna hear the same story.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna do any good.
Yeah, I mean, but now, whenever we get a piece of property that Luneco's involved in, I want it all in writing. Because I don't know if we have anything in writing from them. The Boy Scouts went and built a bridge on that land on this side, down River Road, for a snowmobile bridge to cut across the Tenny. They tore it down.
Yeah.
Well,
They tore it down. They said that was not there before, and they weren't gonna allow any new uses.
and I don't know if you guys saw the letter, one of the things they said is anything, in this letter, they said anything that was pre-existing can stay, but anything new cannot. And I guess they did. They took some of the wood, from what I understand, and they tried to salvage it to do something else, but they put the road back over to closer to River Road because it was a pre-existing. From what I also understand from this letter is anything up where you're at, there was no snowmobile trails in there at all.
There are some in there.
I ride dirt bike and snowmobile through all of that
Okay.
whole hill
And see,
cliff
that-
area.
Right.
I'm just
years.
relaying with the letter, but I think that's something that we do need to investigate then if that's the case. If there is some there that they're not acknowledging, because from what I understand, they went to, and this is talking to somebody, they went to,
Turned down.
the snowmobile club and they said no, but is that ones that just not on the trail, is that ones that were previously there? So maybe we do need to get them there, because if this is going to be an ongoing problem in the future, maybe we need to get
Hey,
them
I'm all
sorted
for
out.
land conservation, but allow the uses that were there previously, and outdoor traditional use of land is something that Maine has always done.
Right.
And I don't like the fact that they're gonna, because I really think their next step is to prohibit hunting on that land,
I agree.
So, I have no problem with getting them here and talking to them about it.
Okay, that's fine.
You good?
So is the first step, though, to do some further investigation before we get them here about what's pre-existing there for trails? Do you know about that?
Or if we have I know there's trails there.
Yeah.
I
Well,
go
that's,
all-
that's
saying-
what,
they're saying-
I don't, because I don't go up there, but
we go
yeah.
on those trails enough where you all know where the Pinnacle is. Well, we call that area Pinnacle 2. We go up through that whole mountain cliff area.
So
very
he already,
often.
he's already saying.
And there are trails behind, well, down Rosewood that people use all the time.
Okay, see what,
Would you like me to look back through minutes to see
That
if
would
I
be
can
great.
find anything?
That's part
Yeah.
of preparation,
So,
definitely.
but can we consult with you about the trails, or is there somebody better to
Yeah,
find out
no,
what we have for
absolutely.
trails?
I know,
Well, I mean, you're one
I
that
know those
uses them
trails
compared
like
to
the back
someone
of my
that
hand.
said, no, there wasn't.
Okay.
Well, he was told that there was none, but
Yeah.
So we'll be in touch with you about pre-existing trails, because they're saying basically that there are none in there.
Yep.
Okay.
I have a couple of selectmen comments. One is a huge, huge, huge thank you to Public Works and to the first responders, to CMP, to all the electrical people, to all of them. And, you know, Raymond was putting it out there. There's a couple people in there that give updates as to where the roads were, where to get power and stuff like that. But thank you. You put in a lot of time. You guys put in a lot of time. And thank you to the fire department and to CMP. The second one is, I am absolutely ticked off at this RSU. Like, you cannot even understand how mad I am.
You never know it.
Oh, my God. I'm not even gonna say the word I am. We are paying for a garage that we had no vote on, a part of it. And I am big time mad. And what makes me mad is this board wouldn't have even known about it, and I'm not patting myself on the back if we didn't see it on a meeting. So
Yes,
I
you
think,
are. Yes, you are.
I am patting myself,
Yep.
because I think our representatives hugely, hugely failed this town. And here we are talking about conservative and cutting budgets back as much as we can. Our nice little municipal budget just got smaller because they're down there spending. And then they stand up there and say that they did not get a lot of money in from the town, from the state, that it was a hard year. But you could give Sandy Prince and Don Davis a huge raise, but you can't get the kids the playground equipment? I am ticked, and I think our representatives need to start speaking up on behalf of the citizens of Raymond. I really do. So that's my 2 cents.
I heard
And
that
while
a
you're
year
on
ago.
that point, our representative said, well, the state cut educational funding, and we have our state rep here who will attest to the fact that they put $81 million more into educational funding. It's just over 2 years. Yeah.
Just
We're just talking this year. And the fact of the matter is that the valuations of Raymond and Wyndham went up so much that we didn't get any extra. We lost because of our valuations. So, just,
So needless to say, I'm going to be griping about that for a while, so, because we won't even use it. The buses stay here. If you watch the meeting, and oh, this is so frustrating. They had an informational meeting that we were invited to down in Wyndham. And they stood up there and said that Wyndham's going to be paying for the bond. They turned around and Marshall looked at Don Davis, and Don Davis never stood up and corrected him. No, we are not paying for a bond because it's a new footprint. We will have to pay for leasing and operations, but nobody ever corrected that information. So they still stood down there. On their Facebook page, they turned around and said, why didn't Raymond get a vote? Well, Raymond doesn't own this. They will never own this, but they have to pay for this. So needless to say, I'm doing some serious griping at this moment. Go ahead. You want to say something?
I refuse
You refuse?
to say anything.
Why?
I agree with you.
All right.
I'll make a motion to accept the warrant of, I don't know what date it is.
We're not there yet. We have to do town manager's report. Turn off your old person's glasses.
But I can do this right now. We can get it
Sure.
over with.
Are you the chair or am I the chair?
No, you are.
Okay, you can do it.
$122,656.79.
Second?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? All right, go back to the town manager's report.
Okay, so we're almost there. Confirm dates for upcoming regular meetings, December 12th, 17, January 9th, 2018.
You know, in the past, we haven't had meetings in December, just so you know.
Yeah,
What's your option?
You're like an
January.
old person just sitting there griping the
I'm
entire
not
time.
griping, I'm stating the facts.
We always start with the You're correct, but we always make a proposal, and then if you decide you don't want to do that, that's okay.
The budget finance is skipping December because of all the holidays and stuff like
So you'd
that,
like
so
to do
I'm
that?
good with that, yeah.
Okay,
Thanks.
so we're gonna go January 9, 18?
Yes.
Does that work?
And if we have to have a meeting for some reason, we will call an emergency meeting.
Okay.
So we're looking at January what?
9th.
9.
So then we have the reminder of the upcoming holiday schedule, Thursday, November 23rd, and Friday, November 24th, in observance of Thanksgiving. And happy holidays, folks.
Very good.
That's it.
All right, so, I motion to adjourn. Did she just-
Second?
Oh, sorry. Okay, all in favor? We're done.